Crispy golden batter, secret spices, smoky chicken wings, heaven picture biting into that perfect crispy coating while savoring Kentucky Fried Chicken flavors dancing on your taste. With 20 to 600 outlets scattered across 135 countries around the world, it can be hard not to stumble upon one. Last year, KFC system sales grew 6% worldwide, and the franchise has a brand value of a whopping $8.3 billion in at-bat. For a company that originally started in a little gas station in North Corbin, Kentucky, the founder, Harlan Sanders, built the franchise with his on-toe greasy hands, and by doing so, he changed the world of fried chicken forever. That at an age when people usually start thinking about retirement, man's story is anything but usual, and it goes to show that sometimes going against the grain is exactly what you're supposed to do. Curious to find out how Harlan took his small rural gas station operation and turned it into one of the most successful fast food franchises in the world? Then make sure to keep watching this video. Explore how KFC came to be the billion-dollar franchise that it stands. We have to take a little trip back in time to Highway 25 in North Corbin, Kentucky. You see, before his face would beam over thousands of fried chicken joints, and he would be known more affectionately to billions across the globe as Colonel Sanders. Harlan Sanders had quite some work to do. After all, you don't receive the title off colonel for nothing off. The only way to success is through failure. Harlan Sanders certainly earned this succession. Was born on September 9th in 1890, making him 12 years older than McDonald's founder, Ray Kroc, who was born in 1902. He grew up in rural Indiana and had a pretty tough childhood. When he was just 6 years old, his father passed away suddenly from a fever, leaving his mother working several jobs to provide for him and his two siblings. Harlan became the cook of the house, and he was tasked with looking after his two younger siblings and taking care of the home and needing to help provide for the family. Entered the workforce at the age of 10. As a farmhand making $2 a month. This amounts to some 55 or 46 euros due to his unpleasant relationship with his stepfather. He left home when he was 12, and for the next 3 decades, his career was varied. At age 15, he was working on a streetcar taking fares and making change. When he was 16, he forged some fake documents saying he was of age to enter the army. Not soon after, he got sent to Cuba, where he was honorably discharged after only 3 months. With such a short service, Harlan never be a military colonel, but little did know that title would come to him anyway later in life. After his army stint in Cuba, Harlan made his way to Alabama, and over the next 20 years plus, he worked a variety of jobs, as being a railroad worker, an insurance salesman, a country lawyer, a steamboat ferry operator, a tire salesman, and secretary to the Chamber of Commerce. In Columbus, Indiana, for 6 years, he was the operator of Aegis Station, his longest tenured job before it was closed due to the Great Depression. 1930, Harlan was 40 years old. Broken after having already failed several times in the workforce, he finally made his way to Corbin, Kentucky. Shell Oil Company agreed to allow him and his family to live at a recently built gas station. Harlan would own the gas station, and in exchange for the accommodation, a larger percentage of sales was to be given back to Shell. Every Sunday night, he would cook his family a delicious meal, country ham steak and fried chicken, with hungry motorists passing through his station day and night asking him forwarding recommendations. Harlan soon realized he should be the one providing them the food. Knew he could potentially earn some extra money if he would start serving hungry travelers his family dinners, and that's how things got started. Advertised it as a Sunday dinner 7 days a week, and as you might expect, especially his fried chicken was a tremendous success. Of course, Harlan didn't have a restaurant, so at first diners ate at his dining room table with his family, called it home meal replacement, and was selling complete meals to busy traveling familia. Soon enough, the word had spread, and people from across the state came to visit solely for the delicious hearty dishes, steak, country ham, eggs biscuits, and fried chicken egger, to feed more customers than his kitchen table could handle. Harlan eventually bought out the motel across the street, turned it into a 142-seat restaurant, and moved his restaurant there with more space and a growing demand. He also started toying with his fried chicken recipes. Soon enough, he had come across the world famous 11 herbs and spices, and threw them into his fried chicken. Recipe now people from all over the country found themselves lining up at the gas station to get a taste of the free chicken Harland was cooking up, and life was looking quite rosy. Buttings were far from over, music business was booming, and orders for his chicken started piling up. But all of the extra demand left Harlan pining for a better way to make his chicken while pan frying. Delivered tasty chicken, it took half an hour to Macandee. The other methods, such as baking and French frying, got him bad. Rizalchi knew he needed to find a way to cook faster to be able to meet the growing man, but it was just as, or even more important, that the result would also bet deliciously for him. One day he stumbled upon a tool that would allow him to do just that. At a local hardware store he found a new interesting device, a pressure cooker, caning all the moisture, and online needing a few minutes. The pressure cooker allowed him to further expand his business, and the device would change free chicken forever. It didn't take long before his KF became the go-to destination for Pipeline. Search of a perfect piece of free chicken in 1935. The governor of Kentucky, Rubleffen, even bestowed Harlan the Titluff Colonel in recognition of his contributions to the state's cuisine, and from that point forward he would be commonly called Colonel Sanders. But unfortunately there were still some dark clouds ahead, and even after receiving this distinction, the colonel still had trouble keeping his business afloat. First trouble started in 1939, when just a couple of years into its growing success, Sanders Cafe was destroyed by a fire. The fire burnt down the entire restaurant, but Harlan was not deterred. Instead, he rebuilt it and even added metal onto his new restaurant a year later, along with a new motor court. Sanders Court and Cafe was back on its feet and selling chicken like crazy. Delighted travelers who were making their way on US-25, a major north-south route in America. Harlan was so well liked and well respected that when lost his official colonel certificate, state and Governor Lawrence Weatherby just decided to recommission him in 1950. So in truth, he was a colonel twice. Over things were going great again until the route of the new interstate was announced. Unfortunately, unlike US-25, the interstate did not swing by Sanders Court and Cafe, and due to the new highway bypassing his cafe, his place quickly became an off the beaten path destination instead of the main attraction. Sanders was once again out of luck, but not one to chicken out as Elepen intended. He decided to take Modercino his own hands, while he knew the new highway would likely doom his tinutary. He still had faith in the chicken booziness, and he also realized that his future wasn't tied to one restaurant and thought he could instead have many of them selling his chicken at the same time. So in 1952, at the age of 62, he sold his restaurant and motor court and hit the road with his recipe and pressure cooker, approaching retirement with little in the bank. Harlan had created a last-ditch plan to produce some retirement income. He drove from diner to diner, pleading with owners to use his delicious 11 secret herbs and spices chicken recipe. All they had to do in return was give him a nickel commission on each piece sold. In the meantime, the colonel slept in his car and was nearly broke again. Same year, Peter Harmon, the owner of Do Drop In, and Salt Lake City became at first to accept his offer, and with nothing more than a handshake agreement, Salt Lake City became the first city with Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise. By 1959, he had made over 200 such deals in the United States and Canada, and Benno, Colonel Sanders, was finally a permanent success. It was also around this time when he began dressing Thepert to and from the late 1950s until his death in 1980. He always wore a white suit, a black string bow tie, and a snow-white goatee. It was said he had two suits, a heavy wool one for winter and a light cotton one for summer. In 1964, Harlan sold his Kentucky Fried Chicken Company for $2 million today. That would be around $15 million, however. Despite selling Hestadon as a spokesman in the face of Kentucky Fried Chicken until his death in 1984, the rest of his life hetrovelled across the country and the world talking about chicken. But although he kept working as a spokesperson, he was not pleased at all with the taste of Hissimus chicken and gravy. He would visit feeks across the country, criticizing the low quality of the food, saying the gravy was horrible and that the extra crispera soap is nothing more than a damn-free dough ball. Stuck on a chicken and wasn't going to be silent about his critical opinions either. In some interviews, he was so upset by the quality of the food that he would tell reporters that the gravy ain't fit for me dogs, and in fact, he was so open about this. Disdain for the alterations made Toast's signature recipes that catficked. Even sweat him for libel in 1978, while it was at one point having aprity. Miserable decade in America today is doing well as the franchise grew rapidly overseas, particularly in China. It started losing more and more customers back. Home competitors were flaunting nicer restaurants, tastier chicken, and more persuasive marketing, and not to mention that fast food John McDonald's and the other burger chains also sell a lot of crispy chicken sandwiches and nuggets nowadays, but in 2015 the fried chicken franchise began a mission to reclaim its free chicken empire with a U. Turnaround plan included store renovation, staff training, and a summer advertising campaign featuring Daryl Hammond as Colonel, Sander Schweit, suit black tie, and Al today. The company keeps the stunts and campaigns coming to regain relevance and stay top of mind with its customers, and it is safe to say that learning to take marketing risks has paid off well for the franchisor. Anyone who is tired of Haren's impressive tales of visionary young Siosthus was the story of an old man's journey. To discover his greatest talent, Colonel Sanders started his big business at the age of 66, but he had a talent and a unique recipe after many less profitable ventures. It wasn't until he was nearing retirement age that he tried a novel business model that would soon transform American commerce. Franchising this allowed him to convert his little cafe into a multi-billion-dollar franchise that is still booming today. Hope that you've been inspired. Do you have a business in mind that you would like us to cover in the future? Then share it in the comments and make sure to take a look at our channel for more inspiring stories.